Hello friends, and welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. There's much to do, but I thought that we would just start this video this week. Happy Monday. Today's Monday on the day that I'm filming. I just thought that we would start this off with slowness and a little bit of a reset. My husband and I went camping, just the two of us, this past weekend. That was our first solo camping trip that we have taken since we got our camper back in March. And it was so lovely. We missed our girls. We were grateful that my mom was willing to watch them and do so many fun things with them and my nephew over the weekend so that we could have that time away guilt-free and just with very little plans. We had a wedding that we went to, but otherwise it was a whole lot of sitting by the fire, doing word searches, coloring and coloring books, reading books. Just we had Wi-Fi at the campground, so we binge watched a little bit of a show that we've been watching simply because we could with no interruptions, and it was just a wonderful time. However, when I tell you I am very excited to be back home and back into our daily rhythm, I am. I absolutely love getting to be a homemaker, and it's something that I've wanted to be and do for a very long time. I've now been doing this full-time for 4 years, something like that, and it has not yet gotten old to me. Every time that I pick up a little part-time job or something like that, I always come back to this because this is my very favorite part of my day, is getting to be in my home, make it cozy, make it organized, make it a place of peace and rest for the people who come in, and I'm just very grateful. All of that to say, I have a whole bunch of gratitude this morning. My oldest daughter was on fall break last week, so this week having her back in school and my youngest at her little half-day preschool, I feel like we're all kind of back into our rhythm. So even though we have a lot to do this week, for example, we have a fall festival tonight at the preschool. I'm doing fall mini sessions, which I'm going to take you along for a little bit as we prepare the backdrop for that, because I have dabbled in the hobby of photography for about 10 years and obviously do camera type things with content creation, but I have never actually offered any services like publicly to people outside of my home. I mean, even you are inside of my home right now, so I have never actually offered these services as just like something to the people that I know, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but I have had such a great and warm response that I'm really excited to do my first little mini session this upcoming weekend. I had such a good response that we ended up breaking it into 2 days versus 1. So what that's going to look like is I'm actually painting one side of our barn, and I just thought that might be a little bit easier than trying to set up a backdrop and good morning.
Good morning.
And order like the tripods to hold the backdrop and all the different things, and then the different actual backdrops that I would use each time that I did a session. Besides, I felt like this looks a bit more authentic even on camera. Like, there's a lot that you can do with a backdrop, but at the end of the day it might still look very fake. So this way I maybe can just paint my barn a different color each time that I want to use it for something different or set it up differently or whatever. So I'm going to take you along as I try to paint that. This morning was actually in the 30s outside, so I was letting it warm up a bit. It rained overnight. I was letting it dry out some. So I think after I get my youngest from preschool, I will try to knock out as much of that as I can before going to pick up the oldest from kindergarten. So I just had a delicious breakfast. I've been really feeling omelets lately, and I make them big because I eat a late breakfast and it just carries me through until like a late lunch. I would like to pre-make some omelet cups and also yogurt parfait cups so that I can just grab them and make them really quickly, but I've not actually gotten around to doing that yet, so maybe that is soon to come. But either way, I'm very excited that you're here, and yeah, let's get to putting some stuff away from suitcases and bags and just getting this house back in order. Following along in my Spirit-Led Homemaking series recently, we've been talking about what it means to invite the Holy Spirit into ordinary corners of our homes, so into the rhythms of cooking, cleaning, creating, and caring, and really what that looks like practically and in terms of the fruit of the Spirit. So I sing this song in my head to remember them, but there's 9, and they are Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Does anybody else know that song? It's super fun and really helpful in remembering them. But anyways, this week I've been thinking about one fruit of the Spirit that feels especially needed in busy seasons, such as what our family is walking through right now, and that is faithfulness. So faithfulness is not one that's loud or flashy. It's quiet and steady and often unseen, really. It's simply choosing to show up and to do the next right thing, even when the work feels really small or repetitive, which, as we know, is very much a tendency of the work of homemaking. So when I'm folding laundry or prepping meals or painting my barn for this weekend's mini sessions, it can be really easy to wonder if any of this matters or if any of this will pay off. But the truth is that this is the space where faithfulness actually grows. It's not in the big highlight moments, but in the steady, consistent ones. Galatians reminds us that faithfulness is a fruit of the Spirit, meaning something that He cultivates, that God cultivates in us as we stay connected to Him, which is very much a relief to me because we don't have to muster it up through our own efforts. We just simply need to show up, one quiet act of obedience at a time. So maybe if your season feels chaotic and if you're tired and wondering if what you do each and every day makes a difference, please take heart. The Lord does see the faithfulness that we are showing each day by showing up. Every unseen task and every small offering, it all matters to Him and it's all pleasing to Him. It's exactly what He wants us to be doing, and it's storing up treasures in heaven, which we know are the very best kinds. So just keep on keeping on, because I know that sometimes this fruit of the Spirit can feel so very overlooked and underappreciated. But there is so much to say about a person who shows up with diligence. And that's not just the stay-at-home mom, that's the working mom too. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go. But this is just so crucial. And if you need a friend to tell you to keep on keeping on, I will be that friend. Just keep on showing up, Mama.
Like all over my face, my hands. I took my ring off just because I knew that that was not going to be a good situation. Probably should have worn gloves, but it's okay. It's looking more blue than what I thought it would be. I got iron ore, which is a Sherwin-Williams color, but I got it from our local Ace Hardware, which does not carry Sherwin-Williams. So they color matched, and it'll be fine. I was just thinking that it would be a darker gray, more of like black than like a gray blue, but it should still be okay. I think it'll look really pretty with the red and orange and yellow leaves in front of it, and it's going to be kind of like a cider stand setup, so with like string lights, and I think it'll contrast really, really beautifully with all of the colors that I'm planning on using anyways. But I can also do a lot of editing in post-processing because Lightroom is really wonderful and allows you to color mix and change specific colors within a photo or a background or whatever, so I can alter that slightly if I need to without it completely wrecking like skin tones and all the other things. I'm getting a phone call. But anyways, I am about halfway down the barn and I'm going to get as much done as I can, but I need to take a handheld brush, and I was totally calling somebody. I don't know. I don't wear these headphones enough, so I really don't know how that happened. But now I'm disconnected from Bluetooth. So anyways, I need to take a handheld brush and get the bottom of these boards. The best thing about painting a barn is you don't have to do trim work, really. I absolutely despise trim work, so this is really fun for me. I will have a table set up in front of that, like at the bottom of the barn walls, so you won't be able to see the broken boards and cinder block. It'll have like a little skirt around the table. So anyways, the final product will probably be shown in next week's video because I'm planning on filming the last half of this week. We just have a really full week. I'm planning on splitting it into 2 parts. We have been doing meat birds for about the last 8 weeks, and it is time to pluck some feathers. So I do not exactly intend on helping with all that, but it is going to be a pretty big family affair. We have like my father-in-law, my grandfather-in-law, some friends that want to jump in and help out, and I mean we have like 30 chickens to process, so this will be our first time doing it, and I'm going to try to get some footage to put over on our homestead channel. But with all this that I have going on too, it's just kind of going to be a lot going on at one time, so I will very tastefully throw some of that in here in next week's video along with the final setup of this. But for now, let's just make some more progress on as much as we can paint before time to go pick up my Rosie from her big school. Okay, so I ended up just getting half of it done, but that's plenty for what will actually be in frame for my mini session, so I'm really excited. And then the bottom is really just my OCD because you can see it from the road. Like, this side does face the road from our yard end, so it being half painted and the bottom not being perfect, yeah, it bothers me, but I'll have a table set up in front of that. It won't even matter for that. But anyways, I am covered in paint now. Like, I just did a little Facebook video to show all of my prospective clients, which are family and friends, what the backdrop was starting to look like, and I did not even realize I had this huge chunk of blue paint in my hair, so it's just part of it. But I need to go get washed up before time to go sit in car rider line in about 20 minutes, so I'm going to get to it, and then we will probably pick back up tomorrow when I start to make the sign for this. I think it's going to say warm cider on like a wooden sign with pretty calligraphy. That's the goal anyways. We'll see what happens. I went around to some stores this morning looking for a board to paint like warm cider on, the lettering for it anyways, and I could not find what I wanted, so I just went and looked in our barn and found this, which means it needs to be cleaned. It's not anything fancy obviously, but it's much more the size of what I was looking for, so I'm just wiping it down with a wet rag, and then I think I'm gonna leave it like this raw wood color, and instead of painting or staining it. Oof, but it is nasty. With the barn already being painted, I just felt like painting this would be overkill, and I just wanted some natural textures in there as well, so I'm gonna have lots of mums. I will actually put an inspiration picture here on the screen somewhere because it's just really cute, but because I'm not doing all of it in this one video, I want you to have an idea of what we're actually working towards, and then maybe you'll just popped a nail off but then maybe you'll come back next week to see how it all turned out, because today I'm really hoping to finish with this sign, as well as hanging up my string lights, running an extension cord out there for power, and possibly getting Nicholas to help me move my table up there so that I can set it up and get the like skirting around it and kind of figure that out. I don't know that I'll leave the skirting on there because we do still have a few days before pictures happen, so I don't want it to get dirty because it'll most likely be white or off-white, something similar to that. So yeah, and then come Thursday I will just set the table. Pictures are actually Friday, but I'm doing a test run Thursday night with my mom and my girls, so Thursday I will actually figure out the table situation and then set it all up, take it all back down, and Friday set it all up, take it all back down, and then Saturday for the second day of shooting, set it all back up. So it's going to be a lot, but like I said, I'm really excited and I really want this first time to go well. You know, first impressions go a long way, so I'm excited and really trying to do a good job with it, as I would imagine anyone would. Like, you don't want to do a bad job, but just really trying hard not to cut corners or halfway do any of it. Okay, so I'm just going to sit that here in the sun and let it dry. The sun on our porch, as you can probably tell, is a lot. It should dry in no time. But I also, as I was at the store, if I'm being really honest, we have been struggling getting out of the house in the mornings this week, and even before fall break last week, we were starting to really have a problem with like pushing our limits and almost being late or being late. So when I was at the store this morning, I found a refrigerator organizing bin that I just want to go ahead and, like I said yesterday, prep a bunch of omelet mixtures, a bunch of yogurt parfait cups, And then also, like, my Rosie eats the same several things for lunch on rotation. So I either make her like a cheese quesadilla or a hot dog or some nuggets, or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So if I can just pre-make some of those things, have them in that bin, and then pull from them in the mornings, it'll save me a ton of time from having to make all of our food the day of. So I'm going to go ahead and do that while this board dries, and then we'll paint it. So I've really been reflecting on how the fruits of the Spirit meet us right where we are, just in the middle of real life with real schedules and real responsibilities and real struggles too, if we're being honest. So this week, I keep coming back to faithfulness, that quiet, steady diligence to just show up again and again, no matter what our days look like. Even on my busiest day, on my most unpredictable day, on my day that completely went awry. Like, I thought that it was going to be so restful, and it ended up being so packed full of necessary obligations. And then on the restful days too. This can apply to anyone, no matter what season of life you're in, and I say that confidently because it has applied to me in every season of my life too. Like, faithfulness is similar to contentment in the sense that it's not simply going to find us whenever we get to wherever the grass is greener. Like, whenever I was single and I was wanting to marry my husband, he had not proposed yet, and it was not like everything was going to just magically come together once he put a ring on my finger and we set a wedding date. I had to learn contentment and faithfulness and showing up in diligence in those moments, just the same as I have to learn them today, being married for almost 9 years with 2 young kids, and just like living my full-time homemaking dream. It's still something that I have to practice. It's a discipline and a muscle that I have to exercise very often in order to stay on top of it, and in order to do so with a cheerful heart. Because faithfulness is not just for the stay-at-home mom or the homemaker. It's for the working mom balancing meetings and bedtime stories, and it's for the housewife who's keeping her home running smoothly when no one else is around to see. It's for the single woman who shows up to care for herself and for her loved ones with love and intention, even when she feels like maybe she has none left to give. And it's for the married woman who's learning to serve her family with grace and endurance. The circumstances may look different, but the call to faithfulness is the very same, to keep tending what God has placed in front of us. So some days that looks like painting a barn in preparation for what will hopefully be a way to help provide some income for my family. Maybe folding laundry or prepping meals. Other days it's clocking into work and showing up for people, or staying patient when everything in you feels stretched thin. Faithfulness does not demand perfection. It simply asks for presence. And that's a recurring pattern that we see with a lot of these fruits of the Spirit, and I love it so much. I've needed that reminder myself recently, that as we stay connected to the Spirit, He turns this daily diligence into something so very sacred that only He could work so powerfully in and through. So wherever you find yourself today, at home or at the office, single or married, rested or absolutely weary, know this: your faithfulness matters. He sees it, and every quiet yes that you give Him is a seed that He is growing to something eternal. So we made pretty good progress. I got the sign done, and now I have found the curtains. Nicholas and I moved the table up in front of the barn earlier, so I leveled it and everything, and now I have found the curtains that I'm going to use to make a skirt for around the table. I just need to sew a thread through it so that I can make a little ruffle and pin it on there. I was hoping to get to all of that in this video, but it will probably have to be in the next, because I have now run out of time and it's almost time to go get Rosie from school. So Annie's finishing up some painting. I don't know if you can see her back there, but she's busy with a craft right now as I was finishing up my painting. She came home from my granny's as I was working on it, and she saw me painting. She was like, I want to do that too. So
we had to set her up a paint station as well, which is super fun. I love having littles that love to be creative like I do. I'm so glad that you came along for this. I know that I usually tie things on a bow before I finish a video, so this feels a little bit wrong, but I know that this is already getting lengthy, and we've gotten so much done already. We have gotten so much done for the photo backdrop. We've gotten some breakfast prepped for my fridge and for the rest of this week. I kind of got my house put back together from camping and a weekend away, so thank you so much for coming along with me as we did all of this. I hope that maybe you found it to be cozy and relaxing, but also very productive. My husband sometimes gives me a hard time that I talk about slow living and cozy homemaking, and then often I'm like rushing from one thing to the next, and it's just a very weird season of life, really. I said something the other day on TikTok about how I feel like calling myself a stay-at-home mom is false advertising these days because of how little I am home. I am so often on the road driving my kids to and from school, and then running errands in between, and you know, just the ins and outs of life. But it's exhausting and it's beautiful, so I'm so very thankful for it. I love getting to fill my pockets of time with creativity and with homemaking and with mothering, and yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. So I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at, and I'll catch you next time.